Hello and welcome to the Healing Insight podcast, episode 7, with me, Sarah Hunt.
And me, Jez Hunt. There's a lot to think about with these intros, isn't there?
There is.
Which episode? Oh, seven. I can almost see it go through your face.
Thank you. I have it written down to remind me which one, and I still have it going through. Oh, is that the right one? Oh dear. Okay, so in this session, we thought we'd look at things that energize you, and or talk around that, and things that bring your energy down. And if anyone's listening that's a student of mine, they'll have heard me talk about keeping your vibration high. And to me, that's a really important thing that we need to be doing. And when our vibration's high, we feel energized and able to deal with the day. Yeah. But if our vibration's low, our energy is low, and that can really affect how we feel and how we deal with situations. So yeah, where do we start with that, Jay?
Well, I think we've started. Talk about, keeping your vibration. I mean, we touched in the last episode, we touched on the ripple effect. What you're doing has an effect, or how you are has an effect on the people around you. And you said, if you're having a bad day, then other bad things might happen, or not bad things. Things happen. It's how you perceive it as to whether it's good or bad. But again, another podcast on that one maybe. Yes. But if you wake up in a bad mood, and then you go into the kitchen and you knock something over, or you spill your coffee, or your breakfast toast burns, and then you get in a car and you're in a grump and on the way to work, and you're driving to work and you get stuck in traffic and someone cuts you up, and all these negative, or what people perceive as negative things start to happen to you. And yet, if you can just stop yourself in that first moment, you wake up in a grump, you stub your toe, whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, just take a deep breath. It's okay. Everything's fine. Then you could find that your day goes completely differently.
Yeah, because when your vibration's high and your energy's high, you're in the flow of things.
Yeah.
You're in your heart center, and so you're in the flow. If you get too much in your head, then that's when things kind of tend to get a bit stuck, for want of a better way of putting it, and it has a big effect. I think as well, it's also worth thinking about, how you perceive things when you go into a room. So if you've walked into a room where someone's had a bit of an argument with someone, that can actually bring your energy down, because you pick up on that energy and you kind of think, oh, what's gone on here?
Cut that atmosphere with a knife is the saying,
yes.
Isn't it?
Yes, and that's where that saying comes from, because you literally you could do that. So you can sense that energy, and it could trigger something in you, and so you could end up feeling, your vibration could come down, your feeling, you kind of lose that happy feeling that you had, for whatever reason. But equally, you can walk into a room where there's been lots of laughter, and somebody's had some real fun, and again, you can feel that energy, and it can feel quite uplifting.
Yeah, definitely. Or you can be like me and just walk into a room completely oblivious as to what negative stuff's gone on, and then what are you looking at me like that for? It's all right. What's wrong? Hey ho.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
No, I'm not completely oblivious anymore. I do pick up on it, but sometimes, whatever. But it is. Now I've lost my train of thought. See, I've now gone into my head. Go back into my heart, and it'll all be fine. But it is that we can get too stuck in our heads. It's so we can't be happy all the time. Our vibration cannot stay high all the time. There has to be fluctuation to a degree. Okay, I see, for you listeners, you cannot see my sister raising her eyebrows at me, but I can. Now, okay, so then there is still going to be a fluctuation. Even, right, so somebody might be here, again, I'm trying to do this, so somebody might be at this vibration and somebody might be at a higher vibration above them in terms of vibration, but that person will have someone above them, and that person will have someone above them somewhere in the world, somewhere in the universe. There will be somebody that is a higher vibration than that person. So we are either going up or coming down. You are not staying at that same high vibration all the time. There has to be fluctuation, because that's how energy works.
Yes.
Well, that's my understanding.
Yeah, there is some fluctuation, and to me, and certainly what I teach students that are learning cosmic heart is that if your vibration has dropped, it's an indication that something's affecting you and something needs healing, or the energy needs clearing.
Sure.
And so it's important to have things around us that help to keep our vibration high. So those of you who do know me know that I've got crystals coming out of my ears. Well, not literally, but I have a lot of crystals around my house. And the reason I have crystals around my house is to help to keep the energy of my house high, my energy high as well, my vibration high, and to help me feel good. But I also like to have cut flowers in the house as well. I'm not the best at keeping house plants. Although I did manage to keep a mother-in-law's tongue for over 30 years. I think that's quite an achievement, but it finally died on me last year. Yeah. But I like to have cut flowers in the house because to me they help to raise the energy and to give that feel-good factor, if you like. So that's really what we're looking for, isn't it? It's a feel-good factor. What are the things that make you feel good? And we've touched on this before in other podcasts, but there are many things that you can do to actually help keep that feel-good factor. And when you lose the feel-good factor, it's like, okay, why has this happened? What is it that's affecting me? And it's okay to not feel so good. It's okay for you to be in that space, because sometimes we need to be in that space to come to a greater understanding of ourselves, but equally we don't want to be stuck in that space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's my point. And I'm playing, at the end of the day, I want to make a debate of this. I want to look at it from both sides. It'd be really boring if I just sat there and said, actually, yeah, I agree with you, hey, all the time. I do agree with you, but so if I wake up in a grump, not that I do, because I don't, but right, if I stub my toe in the morning when I'm getting ready, and that sort of like brings my mood down, then that's what I mean by, our vibration does not stay high all the time. It can't. Something will happen, whether it's, even if it's just that passing thought of someone rings the doorbell when you're in the middle of something, or it's like, oh, really? That is bringing your vibration down, even though it might be for a very small period of time. That's bringing your vibration down. It's not possible to keep it high all the time. In that sense, that's what I was trying to say. If that's made it clearer or less clear, I don't know.
Yeah, I am with you with that. But and you're right.
I don't mean that, as your vibration starts to go up, as you become more self-aware, as you become more aware of the universe, of yourself and everything, I'm not saying that you're going to go back down vibrationally to where you started at the beginning of your journey 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever it was. Your vibration will continue to rise, but it will rise with fluctuations. You will have bad days. relative to other good days.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
And part of being human, and part of coming to understand yourself on a much deeper level. But it's having that awareness. And I think we touched on awareness in the last podcast that we did. When you've got some awareness, then you can stop yourself from spiraling down into
Yes.
into a very dark space, because you really don't want to be in that space. You can kind of then take, if you've got an awareness of something, dropping your mood, dropping your vibration, dropping the way that you feel from that happy place, dropping it down, then you can do something about it, can't you? Because you've got the awareness that something's happening, and so you can stop it from going any further than just ouch, I stubbed my flipping toe.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the good thing is that, particularly with energy, is that you can raise your vibration intentionally. So, when you see that you're down, if you're aware that that's where you're going, you can turn that around very easily.
Yeah. What sort of things do you do to turn around your vibration when it's dropping, when you're
sorts of things I do.
struggling?
So, okay. So first, one of the first things I can do sometimes is put music on. It might just be I have a power playlist, whatever you want to call it. I have a playlist of tracks that really bring my vibe up, and make me feel, I feel happy when I listen to that sort of music. Sometimes it is stuff from my childhood. It's becoming more and more, sort of, dare I say, I think, being more like Dad with classical music. I love classical music.
I'd be so proud of both of us.
He would.
I remember saying to him, Dad, do you really have to listen to this? When I was in my teens. And now I listen to what Dad used to listen to.
Yeah. So it can be, music, if there's some tracks that you like, or something that just raises, that sort of track that, even if it's, reminds you of being a teen and going clubbing or whatever, just something. If it's a sort of song, as soon as you hear it come on, you're up on your feet dancing, then that sort of thing. Yeah, just that can raise your vibration. I use meditation to raise my vibration. I use tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique, or a variation of that, to do that. There are painting raises my vibration. Going for a walk in nature raises my vibration. It's looking for things that work for you. There will be people hanging around with particular people that raise, if you've got a friend who's always laughing, always joking, or, you can't help but be in a happy place when you're in that person's company, then give them a call on the phone and, hi, how you doing? Can we have a chat? Blah, 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 that sort of thing. Go to places that raise your vibration. There might be somewhere local to you that, every time you go there, it's just your happy place. There are things that we talked about, music, habits that you do, or thoughts that you have, just visualization. Visualize yourself in a happy place. There's some of the things.
Lots of things that you can do, but I do feel that it is important to also be willing to address why you're not in a happy place.
Absolutely.
And it may be something very simple that can easily be put right, but equally it may be something that's much deeper, that's going to take a little bit of courage to go inward and go, where's this actually coming from? Because if you don't actually address the issue and deal with it in the best way that you find, then it's going to keep coming back, and you can find yourself spiraling down. So it's finding ways of actually being able to address the issue as well, but getting your vibration back up is probably the first thing to do, because when you're in a better space, it's a lot easier to deal with something that's being presented to you that needs addressing than it is when you've kind of spiraled down into a very low mood and your vibrations dropped with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is, when you're in that low mood or that low space, you can't necessarily see it, let alone deal with it. So for me, bringing my vibration up, getting my mood back, helps me be in a space of clarity, or a place of clarity. And yeah, absolutely. I journal on it. I will. Journaling's my go-to. If you listen to any of these podcasts, I'm sure journaling comes up pretty much every episode, and it will continue to do so because I love doing it. It really works for me. But taking that time to reflect on, okay, so I was in a bad mood earlier. You don't have to do it in the moment necessarily, but I was in a
No.
bad mood earlier. I didn't feel quite so good earlier. I felt a bit low earlier. What was that about? And just taking that time to reflect, and whether it's through meditation, whether it's journaling, whatever works for you, just take that time out just to reflect and just listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, your body, listen to what's coming up. Because particularly if you do like stream of conscious stream, it's easy for me to say, stream of consciousness journaling, where you just write and write, and whatever's in your head, you just write it down and you don't stop. You just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Invariably, the thing that you're thinking about, the thing that you want the answer to, will come out in that journaling. It might take a bit of time, and it might be, oh, I'm writing this and I don't know really why I'm writing. I know I felt a bit bad earlier, but this is really stupid and I'm feeling really awkward writing this, but I'm going to keep writing anyway because this is stream of consciousness writing, and I'm going to keep going. And actually what I was thinking about earlier was this, and the reason it triggered me is because of this. Over time, and it might be a few minutes, it might take more than a few paragraphs, but you will often get an indication of what then is coming up for you then to be able to address it.
Yeah, and that's a good way of getting stuff out, isn't it? It's certainly something that I've done in the past. Has been a way of actually getting stuff out so that I can actually acknowledge where the issue is coming from. Because again, if you can acknowledge there's a problem and acknowledge there's an issue that needs addressing, that's kind of the first step towards actually being able to do something about it. But if you can't actually identify what it is, it can be a lot harder to actually know where to start to put changes into place.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing's awareness. That you've got to be aware that there's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then it's defining it and acknowledging it, and then you can move on to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you, like you were saying, if you are in a very sort of low place where your vibration is low, you don't have the same clarity. It kind of is like having brain fog, isn't it? You just can't kind of see the wood for the trees. Getting your vibration up, getting your mood up will help you then to actually be able to look at what's really going on and why you actually ended up in that space. Definitely. And I've got my go-to things as well. Painting definitely is one for me. Spending time with the grandchildren can often be one that lifts my mood for me. Music again with me as well, and then my own self-healing with cosmic heart helps to shift the energies and helps me to go inward, and the meditative state that I go into when I'm doing that will help me to actually intuit what's actually going on and why I'm actually feeling that, so I can clear those energies, which then will help me to move forward. But we all have different techniques and different go-tos, don't we? I think that help us to keep our vibration high, but also having things around the house that can help. Some people might want to burn essential oils. That can help to kind of put you in a better space. Incense is another thing that some people like to burn to help keep their vibration high. As I mentioned earlier, having crystals around the house, and sometimes I sit with a crystal as well, and just feel the energy of it and allow that to help me to feel like I'm in a better space as well. So I think there's loads of different things. Walking in the countryside, I love to get out and walk as well, and that's another way that I can find that place where I'm able to then have the clarity that I need to understand why I was feeling the way I was, so that I can see if there's something specific that needs addressing, or if it's just something that I just need to let go of and say, you know what, it is what it is. It's happened. There's nothing you can change linked to that. So just let it go, learn from it, and move on to the next thing.
Yeah. You can also, there's also things like, putting positive statements up or affirmations, or, I've got clients that have put post-it notes up.
I've done that
Just
before now. I've had them all over the house.
just of positive things, so that if they're in that place, if they're all around you, and then just take that moment to have a look and just read a positive statement about yourself.
I've used what I call a blessings notebook or a
Yeah,
gratitude notebook with
absolutely.
clients in the past, especially ones that have been in a real negative place. And it's to help them to see that all the positive things, because if you're in a really negative place, you tend to focus on the negative. And so all you see is negativity, negative things happening. Whereas if you can shift that mindset into a more positive one and start to notice the positive things around you, then that can make a big difference. And so for those of you listeners that maybe have struggled a bit with seeing the positive things that are going on around you and in the world today, you might like to try using a notebook and just writing 10 things in each day to be grateful for. And it might be that you start with the fact that you've got a roof over your head and clothes on you and food available to you. It might be that you then start to notice things like the little robin that was in the back garden sitting on the fence chirping at you, the smell of a rose as you're walking down the street where it's coming out into bloom. When I was walking Charlie the other day, there's this beautiful white magnolia, and as I walked past it, I said to it, thank you for brightening up my day, because it did. It just had a lovely energy about the tree. It was out in full blossom. It smelt delicious as I passed it, and I just had to say thank you to it. I told you before I was a tree hugger. I didn't stop and hug it because the person that owns the tree might not have been very happy, but I was grateful to that tree for that moment that it gave me of an uplifting energy and the beauty of it as it was in full blossom, and the smell that came from the tree as well. It just has. I like the smell of magnolias. It's just got a real subtle scent that was really lovely. So yeah, I've absolutely used a gratitude book. Some people use it as a blessings book, but just something that that you can jot down things, and when you start to notice things like that, you suddenly find that you start to notice more of the positive things that are going on, and then as you build on that, more and more positive situations present to you, because your focus has shifted from being in that low negative place to being in a higher vibration positive place, and so you then manifest that into your life.
Yeah, and you can take that a step further, as I've done with a couple of clients. So I suggested a client created like an energy scrapbook thing. So a scrapbook. So it was a scrapbook, and it had, sometimes it was just sentences, sometimes it was gratitude, sometimes it was photos of things that energized them or made them happy, or so it could be a photo of playing with the grandchildren or playing with your children, or if you like paintings, it could be a painting. If you like aeroplanes, it could be pictures of aeroplanes. But a scrapbook of a mix of stuff. And apart from anything else, firstly, you then start looking for things to put in the scrapbook. So you're looking for positive things. So it puts you in that mindset. But it also means that if you're having a bad day, get your scrapbook out and flick through it and just look at the things that energize you, and it will help bring you out of that mood.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've never thought of that one, actually. I like that idea. And something that's easily done, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, nowadays with printing stuff off printers, or, I was going to say, in the old days, we used to cut things out of magazines, but there aren't that many magazines anymore. But that's not quite true. But yeah, I mean, you can print stuff out, you can just handwrite stuff, but you can go to town. If you want to make a little fancy note and put some little artistic flowers around a note or something, but just be creative. Just do something in it that makes you happy.
Absolutely. And this
build
kind
on
of
it.
comes back to that session that we did recently on creativity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of just a reminder that it's so important to do the things that make your heart sing and make you feel happy. And when you're in your happy moment, you are in the moment, and then what's happened doesn't matter anymore. It's kind of that that the energies linked up with it are kind of taken away, because you're not focused on it anymore. You're focused on the moment and making yourself feel better.
Yeah,
Does that make
absolutely.
sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, go and get a scrapbook, or just go and find things that make you happy. If you find a flower on the floor that you love, then press it. If it's, I'm not saying pick one to press necessarily, particularly if it's not in your
Depending on where you
garden.
are and whether you can.
Yes, but I mean, there's no harm in pressing a flower. Pressed flowers. We used to do that as kids, didn't we? Pressed flowers, and having a pressed flower in your book or something, so that you've got something all year round that you can just refer back to when you're in that space, just to bring you back out of that space. So yeah, get creative. See, all these things are all interlinked. All these different podcasts. There's a theme going in between here.
Yes, definitely. Everything is interlinked, because it is all about your primary relationship being with yourself, which I mentioned in the last podcast that we did. It's all about having that selfless act of looking after yourself, so that you can truly love yourself. And when you truly love yourself, it's a lot easier to keep your vibration and your mood a lot higher than when you're not loving yourself. So yeah, absolutely, do the things that make you feel happy. They will help to raise your vibration. They will help to raise your mood. And when you're in that happy space and you're able to be in your heart more, then everything flows for you. And that's what we need, isn't it? We need everything just to really flow, and we don't need to be kind of in our heads and overthinking things. We just need to let life flow for us, because that way we'll get all the synchronicities that we need to have the learning experience that we're here for, and to come to understand ourselves on a much deeper level.
Yeah, the metaphors just popped into my head. If you think of life being like a river, or energy being like a river, we can either go with the flow of the river. So in which case, if we're in a boat, say, go with the flow of the river, in which case it's fairly easy. You go with the flow, you're just cruising along and just enjoying things. But if you fight it or resist it and try going upstream, it's hard work.
Yeah.
So it's about recognizing when you're going upstream and turning your boat round so you're going downstream.
Yeah, absolutely. So that you make things easier for yourself, without a doubt.
Yeah, interesting. No, I love it. Love it. Well, hopefully that's been helpful to listeners as well today. So
Yes, hopefully it's given you some ideas of some things that you can do to help to raise your own vibration and raise your mood. If there's anything that you'd like to ask us about, then please drop us an email and get in touch with us. If there's anything you'd like us to expand on that we've touched on in this podcast to help you to be able to move forward, then do please get in touch. We're always open to suggestions. Okay.
indeed.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Him. Just to throw you. Cheerio.